Welcome back to Wealth Signal. I'm Alex Carter, and what I'm about to share with you today might completely change how you think about money and work. The wrong question. Most people walk through life asking the wrong question about money. They ask, what should I invest in? Which stock? Which fund? Which opportunity? But Warren Buffett has always argued the real question is something completely different, and most people never figure it out. The right question is not what to invest in. The right question is what to buy. Those two words sound the same. They are not. Most people spend every dollar they earn. They buy coffee, cars, vacations, gadgets, subscriptions, and at the end of all that buying, they look up and realize they are 55 years old, still setting an alarm, still answering to a boss, still one paycheck away from collapse. All that buying, and they are still not free. Why? Because they were buying the wrong things. They were purchasing comfort, but not independence. They were spending their lives on things that made them feel wealthy for a day, while the clock of their working life kept ticking. Today we are going to talk about 3 different kinds of purchases, the ones Buffett's framework has always pointed to. The purchases that do not consume your time, they buy it back. If you have ever felt like you're running on a treadmill, working harder every year but not getting any closer to freedom, this video is for you. Hit that subscribe button right now. We break down exactly this kind of thinking every single week on Wealth Signal. Before we get into the 3 things, you need to understand one concept. Buffett's framework calls it the purchase paradox. Every time you spend money, you are not just exchanging dollars for objects. You are exchanging a portion of your working life. Money is not abstract. Money is crystallized time. When you buy a car that costs you 1 full year of labor, and that car loses value by 30% next year, you just bought 1 year of your life in the shape of a depreciating machine. The car will be worth less. The year is gone forever. That is what a bad purchase really costs. Not the dollars, the years. The moment you understand this, everything shifts. You stop asking, can I afford this? And you start asking, is this worth 3 months of my working life? Is it worth 6 months? Most of the time, when you ask that real question, the answer changes dramatically. But here is the other side of the paradox. There exists a category of purchase that does the opposite. There are things you can buy that go to work for you, that generate money while you sleep, that slowly, then rapidly, replace the income you currently have to earn by showing up every day. Thing 1. Buy ownership. The first thing Buffett's framework tells you to buy is ownership. Not stuff, not experiences, not status. Ownership. When you go to work every single day, you are participating in a system that makes money. Your employer has a business. That business generates revenue, profit, cash flow. The business grows in value. And because you are an employee and not an owner, none of that growth belongs to you. You get your wage. The owners get the rest. This is not immoral. It is just the structure of capitalism. And once you understand it, you have 2 choices: complain about it or join it. The stock market is the greatest wealth transfer mechanism ever invented. Not because it is a casino, not a place to gamble and get rich fast, but because it allows people with very little money to become partial owners of the most profitable businesses on earth. When you buy a share of a company like Coca-Cola, you are not making a bet. You are buying a fraction of a business that has sold beverages to human beings for over 100 years, that operates in more than 200 countries. A business so embedded in human culture that people will likely still be drinking it long after we are gone. Every day that business operates, you own a piece of its profits. The company does not ask you to come to work. It does not demand your time. It simply earns money, and a fraction of that money is yours. That is ownership. Now I know what you are thinking. You have $300 saved. The stock market sounds like something for wealthy people. Let me destroy that illusion with math. Compound interest has no minimum balance requirement. It does not care if you invest $300 or $300 million. It applies the same percentage return to whatever you put in. The difference is time, not amount. If you invest $300 a month starting at age 25, earning an average of 10% per year in a diversified index fund, you will have nearly $2 million by the time you are 65. Close to $1.9 million. You contributed only $144,000 of actual money. The rest, over $1.75 million, was created by the system working for you, while you slept. Freedom does not require you to be rich first. Freedom requires you to begin acquiring ownership, and then to never stop. The most important word in that sentence is begin, because most people are waiting. Waiting until they have enough. Waiting until their salary is higher. Waiting for conditions that will never perfectly arrive. And while they wait, the compound machine that could have been working for them is idle. Time is the ingredient that cannot be recovered. You can earn more money. You can cut expenses. But you cannot go back in time and start 5 years earlier. Now, there is one psychological trap that destroys most people at this stage: the volatility panic. The market will go down. This is not a risk. This is a certainty. Every decade it will crash 20%, 30%, sometimes 50%. And when that happens, the financial media will declare the end of capitalism. Your friends will be selling everything. Your brain, your ancient survival-oriented brain, will scream at you to sell. Do not listen to it. When the market crashes, the only thing that has changed is the price. The businesses you own are still operating. The economy is still functioning. The price drop is not destroyed value. It is a sale, a temporary discount on ownership of productive businesses. Be greedy when others are fearful, and you will be rewarded enormously when the market recovers, as it always has. Quick question. Are you currently invested in any index funds or individual stocks? Drop your answer in the comments right now. I read every single one. Thing 2. Buy a system. The second thing to buy is the system. This is where most people fundamentally misunderstand the path to financial freedom. They think that if they work hard enough, save carefully enough, the income from investments will eventually replace their salary. Mathematically, this is true, but it is slow. Decades slow. There is a faster parallel track that most people completely ignore. That track is income from systems you build or own. A system is any mechanism that generates income without requiring your direct, continuous labor. A business you own but that is managed by others. Software that solves a problem and can be sold 1,000,000 times without additional production cost. A website that earns advertising revenue around the clock. A course, a book, a piece of media that can be sold or licensed repeatedly. Every dollar of income that enters your life without requiring your direct labor at that specific moment is income from a system. Here is the economic truth that most people never fully grasp. Systems scale. Labor does not. When you sell your labor, your income is capped by your hours. There are only 24 hours in a day. No matter how valuable your hour becomes, you will always hit the physical ceiling of time. But a system has no such ceiling. Software can serve 1,000 customers simultaneously. A video can be watched by 1,000,000 people at once. A book can be read by 10 million people. And the author's time requirement is the same as if only one person read it. Systems break the linear relationship between effort and income. They make income exponential, while your effort stays finite. But I want to be very clear. Building a system is not easy. The phrase passive income is perhaps the most misleading in financial education, because it implies you can generate money without serious effort. That is not true. What is true is that the effort is displaced in time. You work intensely now. You build the system now, and then, if it is well constructed, the income becomes passive later. The farmer does not get to rest during planting season. The farmer works exhausting hours in spring, and then in autumn, the harvest comes, and the following year, and the year after that. This is the model. The question is not whether you are willing to receive passive income. Everyone is. The question is whether you are willing to do the planting. There is one principle Buffett applies to every business he evaluates. He asks one question: would this business continue operating at a high level if the founder or key person was removed? If the answer is no, it is not a business. It is a job with a business license. A true system functions without the constant intervention of any single individual. Build that. Build it even if it takes years. Build it in the hours you currently spend on entertainment. Build it on Saturday mornings. Build it until the income from the system begins to approach the income from your job. And on the day those two numbers cross, you will understand what it feels like to have options. Options, the ability to choose your next move without financial terror, are the truest form of wealth. If you are finding real value in this breakdown, do me one favor. Hit that like button right now. It helps this channel reach more people who need to hear this. Thing 3. Buy leverage in your mind. The third thing to buy is the most counterintuitive of all. It costs the least money, and it generates the highest return of any investment you will ever make. The third thing is leverage in your own mind. Here is the math most people never examine. When you enter the workforce with no specialized knowledge, you are a commodity. And commodities, by the laws of supply and demand, are paid at commodity prices. When there are millions of people who can do what you do, the price for what you do is low. This is not unfair, it is economics. The market prices things according to their scarcity. What is abundant is cheap. What is rare is expensive. A man who can dig a hole earns $8 an hour because 10 million men can dig holes. A surgeon earns thousands of dollars an hour because very few people can do that. The difference is not effort. The surgeon may actually work fewer physical hours than the laborer. The difference is the rarity of the skill. And here is what matters most for our purposes. The most highly compensated capabilities in the modern economy are not the most technically complex. They are the ones that combine different skills in ways that create disproportionate value. The ability to deeply understand something and clearly explain it to others, that combination is genuinely rare. Buffett himself has spoken about this. The investment in knowledge is not just an investment in information, it is an investment in leverage. When you deeply understand something others do not, you can identify opportunities that are invisible to everyone else. You can make decisions with more confidence, and unlike physical assets, knowledge cannot be taken from you. It cannot be taxed. It does not depreciate. It does not require maintenance. It compounds silently and invisibly. And at some point, that accumulation reaches a threshold where it begins generating income and opportunity in ways that appear effortless to outsiders. But knowledge alone is not leverage. Knowledge must be combined with communication to become leverage. And Buffett has been direct about this. He took a public speaking course when he was young because he understood that no matter how good his ideas were, if he could not communicate them clearly and persuasively, he could not attract partners, could not attract capital, could not build the relationships that compound over a lifetime. He has said that investment in communication skills, more than any stock he ever bought, has been one of the greatest contributors to his ability to build wealth. If you can write clearly, speak persuasively, and explain complex ideas in simple language, you can do things that most intelligent people simply cannot do. You can raise capital, lead teams, sell ideas, build trust across enormous distances. Every page you read is a loan from someone who spent decades accumulating experience. When you read about a great investor, you are downloading decades of hard-earned understanding in a matter of hours. You are borrowing the most expensive lessons someone else ever paid for. Time in the marketplace, mistakes, wrong bets, recovered disasters, all of that experience transferred to you for the cost of a book and a few hours of attention. There is no investment in the world with a better return per dollar. The third purchase is leverage in your own mind, deep knowledge, clear communication, and the judgment to know when and where to apply both. The engine, how they work together. Now let us bring all three together, because understanding them individually is not enough. Think of your financial life as an engine. Right now, most people are running on a single cylinder. That cylinder is their labor, their job. One cylinder works, but it is fragile. If that one cylinder breaks down, the engine stops. Now imagine adding a second cylinder. That is the ownership you have been quietly accumulating. Every share, every index fund position, earning money independently, day and night, weekday and weekend, while you sleep and while you are sick. The second cylinder never stops running. And as the years pass, it gets larger. The returns compound. The positions grow. Then imagine the third cylinder, your system. The scalable income mechanism you built with front-loaded labor and that now runs with minimal ongoing intervention. This cylinder can grow faster than ownership alone because it is not limited by starting capital. And then the fourth, the leverage of knowledge and communication. This one does not generate income directly. What it does is amplify everything else. Better ownership decisions, more valuable systems, more doors that open. When all four cylinders are running together, you have an engine of a completely different order of magnitude. And the beautiful part? You do not have to build them all at once. You build them sequentially. Start with ownership. It requires the least time and the smallest amounts of money. While that runs in the background, build your knowledge. And while your knowledge grows, design your system. The early period looks like nothing is moving. The graph is flat. And then, without warning, it bends upward. And once it bends faster and faster because all three purchase categories are reinforcing each other. Your ownership generates returns that fund your system. Your system generates cash flow that accelerates your ownership. Your knowledge improves both. And your communication skills open doors that make everything possible at a larger scale. This is not a straight line. There will be false starts and wasted efforts, and years that feel like nothing is happening. But this is exactly how compounding works in every domain. The question is whether you begin and whether you continue. Let me leave you with one image. Think of two rivers. Both start at the same elevation. Both receive the same rainfall. But one flows through open country, moving forward, picking up volume, cutting channels deeper as it goes, until it becomes a force that shapes the landscape around it. The other gets dammed at its source. The water has nowhere to go. It fills up. It stagnates. It evaporates. The only difference between those two rivers is whether the water was allowed to move. Your money is like that water. Your time is like that water. Your knowledge is like that water. If you dam it up, if you keep it locked in a paycheck that disappears every month, the water stagnates. But if you direct it into the three channels we talked about today, ownership, systems, and leverage in your mind, that water begins to move. Slowly at first, then faster, then with a force you could not have predicted from where you stand today. Do three things right now. First, smash that like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people. Second, subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a video. And third, leave a comment and tell me, which of these three purchases are you focusing on right now? Ownership, systems, or your own knowledge? I want to know where you are in your journey. I'm Alex Carter, and I'll see you in the next one.